Hey guys, welcome to the La Bella Vita show for Bullies Keep Out. Today I am here with a not so happy mom, Jacqueline Hopper, who is going to be talking to you about her teenage daughter in high school who has been getting bullied for years and is ready to step up and speak out. So welcome to the show, Jacqueline. And she's
Hi.
also a friend, so I want to mention that
Yes.
too.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
And forgive the way I look, everybody, and my hair because I've been sick, so, But today, the story is about Jacqueline and her daughter, and we really want to get this out here and find out what's going on. So, why don't you tell me a little bit about what's been going on with your daughter over the years and, your feelings on it, because I know you are not thrilled with what's been going on.
Not at all, not at all. And it's gotten to a point where it's more intrusive and it's a little bit more, ridiculous, quite frankly. Okay, so it's been going on now, like you said, for a few years. It's actually been a little bit more than that. I think a lot of people confuse teasing, being picked on. They, I feel like they let that go. It's a little bit. Everybody gets picked on. Everybody gets teased. It's a little bit more acceptable, if you will. But because that didn't stop, or because it was not put to an end, it elevated and escalated to other things. And um, right now, she's dealing with boys, honestly, who are more aggressive in my mind because there's not much you can do when it's a boy. She'll walk down the hallway and they'll throw themselves up on the locker and say the earthquake's coming. And if she walks up the stairs and they're there, they hold on to the railing like, they're going to fall because she's coming. And she gets called all kinds of names. I mean, from fat to whale to, it's just ridiculous. Um, there are girls that will pick on her too and call her fake or whatever other name they can think of. Um, she has taken it to the administration at the schools, tried to walk through the process of, filing a complaint. If there's no witnesses, they basically, they let it go. Um, Last week, she complained that she'd walk in the hallway, and as I'm sure you can imagine, high school in a hallway, it's crazy. But they'd walk by her and actually trip her. They'd stick her foot out and trip her. So I, at this point, am done. I'm the mom that will wait until she says, I can't do this anymore. I need you to help me. Otherwise, I kind of take a step back, help her deal with what's going on internally so that, she's okay. But when she comes home and says, I can't do this anymore, of course, I call a conference. I ask for all the teachers to be there, the principal, the counselor, and the principal's 45 minutes late and one teacher shows up.
That's
And my
ridiculous.
how do you affect change or even try and change anything when people aren't there? So, of course I got in contact with you because at this point it's like, where do you go? I'm not a person to be negative or have any kind of bad mouthing, if you will. But it's to a point where you got to get somebody's attention because they're clearly, we'll speak to them, pull them in the office, have a conversation, don't do it again, and it turns into laughter. They walk by and whisper and they laugh because you can't prove it, so then you can't get in trouble for it. So in my mind, it's quite clear as to what the issues are and how we need to go about resolving them.
Right. Well, yeah, from what I'm getting is that, and I've heard a lot of people say it, is that the schools aren't doing enough. There's not enough programs. There's not enough. You know, I kind of feel they need to have speakers come in, all types of speakers, from anywhere
Mm-hmm.
from professionals to
Mm-hmm.
coaches and mentors
Mm-hmm.
to from police officers to counselors to I mean, like all types of people to come in. Even when you have public figures come in and talk, people will listen to them. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Yeah.
you just really need to be doing all that you can when it comes to bullying because it's such a big issue and it is becoming an epidemic. And
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
there's
Two. I had
such
statistics. 1 out of 3 kids will come to pass with a bullying or a situation like that. So it's definitely there. I also believe getting the kids to speak about their situation. I had one girl when I was talking about it say, when the adults are in the room and they're talking about it, it's like we check out. We don't. You know, but when we have it, our peers, then we really listen to what's going on. And in thinking about that, I asked my daughter? What goes on at school? Where are these people that you can align yourself with that are against this, that speak out for this, and that want to make something happen? And we were online, and there's actually a girl who spoke about depression and
Oh,
challenged
good.
the school to have the kids dig deep about their feelings and if they're facing things to get help and that kind of thing. um, and then there's a boy who is Mr. Positivity and walks around and is that guy who will not take that nonsense and speak out and try to help everybody. And I saw him one day and applauded him and thought, you really don't realize the impact you're going to have, but keep it up. Don't get discouraged. You are who we need right now, especially inside the schools on that level. And like you said, when you've got celebrities out there who understand what's going on, who have dealt with rejection, like Michael Jordan, for example. You and I were just talking about how
Yeah.
you have heard his statistics. He wasn't even picked for high school basketball. Wasn't picked, And so it's just these kinds of people really need to reach out to these kids to understand more about the lack of, self-worth, or to understand, the rejection, but also to understand that anger is okay. It's okay to be
Right.
upset. It's okay to be
Yes.
pissed off or have a bad
Absolutely.
day. It's not okay to take it out on your friend.
Right.
It's not okay.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, when you see people that you can relate to that have been through rejection, it's like being an actor and going
Hmm.
for auditions. You're going to get
Hmm.
rejections, and sometimes you'll get 20 rejections. Or if you write a book and look at the woman who wrote Harry Potter, okay? How many
Yep.
rejections did she get in that
Yeah.
Lifetime movie
Oh yeah.
until
Oh yeah.
somebody finally, like, I mean,
Yep.
you have to keep pushing forward, but you need people in your life and support to help you keep pushing forward.
Right.
And I think it's also the schools and the parents' responsibility to teach
Hmm.
your kids. If we're not teaching our kids how to handle rejection, they're not going to be able to handle it. And then they're going to do things that might even have nothing to do with bullying. It's just because they got rejected.
Exactly. But not only
And
that, I think parents also need the tools that I speak about or that I want to speak about. They really need to be able to have the tools themselves. Because when you're dealing with the parents in the home front, when the parents start to go inside and figure out what's going on with them, whether it's, the frustration and stress of work, not finding a job or being laid off, whatever the issues are with the parent that prevents them from hearing their kids or understanding what's going on, when they can start to kind of digest things, that's when the kids are going to be able to take from that. Because although you're in school for 8 hours a day, your biggest role model are your parents. And if you watch how they handle things, that's how you're going to handle things. So giving parents the tools they need, it's definitely key. But in my opinion, it's so far gone where you hear about it in the schools, the school violence, the obesity, the childhood obesity, the bullying, all this stuff takes place at school. So where are we going to address it? At school. We have to address it at the schools. You know, here's another thing. When school started, we got the notes home that in her English class they would be reading specific books. One of which is The Outliers or Outlaws or something like that, where basically the book's about Donald Trump and how he came into his success, and
okay.
Bill Gates and same kind of thing. When they came on the scene, how appropriate it was at the time that they did do that, and how they basically made their living at the best time because of the need for it at the time. So in my mind, I'm like, well, why can't we put these books in these kinds here? Here's The Energy Bus by John Gordon. I love him. But here's the high school version of it. Have them learn that. Have them read that. Have them go over that. Dissect that. I mean, hello. There's nothing in it religious, so to speak, but it is about self.
Yeah,
And
because
that's
God
what
forbid
people.
there's anything about
And
anything of
here's the
faith in
thing. Here's the
something.
thing. Exactly. And I really think too that the schools they've gotten away with. I mean, I'm a very spiritual person, but people, the religion is kindness in my book. But whether you're Catholic or Christian or Buddhist or Jewish or whatever, self is self. It's completely separate from the religious aspect of it. So when we talk about kids and we talk about, the schools needing to teach these kids about themselves, then this isn't a spiritual, it's going to be in the long run. You and I know that, but it's not talking religious in schools. So we really need to hone in on that and understand that self is completely separate from a religious conversation.
Right. I mean,
And
you can teach that whatever you want to your child at home, but in
yeah,
school, if they want to have all those, sections where you block all this out and this and that,
hmm
that's
hmm
fine. But
hmm
still be teaching and educating and doing what you need to do. You don't
hmm
need to touch base
no,
on faith
no,
to touch base on bullying and show people, to have faith or believe, because
hmm
faith isn't just about one thing. It's
no.
it's it's about a lot of things. And
It definitely is. It definitely is. And teaching kids about the law of attraction, I mean, let's put it in a perspective. We don't talk about the law of gravity. I mean, people just know the law of gravity, and they talk about it in science. My daughter came home and said they've got a science teacher who was talking about auras and crystals and how they were doing projects specifically on the crystals, and then they could do the auras, and it was energy. And I don't know if you've ever seen those YouTube videos on the hoo-hoo wands. That's what I call them, the hoo-hoo wands. But basically, the energy wands, where you can actually hold them, and wherever you direct your attention is where they go. And people get tripped up at this, but it's science, it's energy. And when you get negative, they close off. And when you get happy, they open up. I mean, this is science. So getting this into the schools and showing the kids the correlation between how they feel and how things outside are happening is huge. You have a bad morning, and guess what that translates to? A bad afternoon.
right.
It's just, again, and like I told you, the same prescription you'd give a bully is the same prescription you'd give the victim of a bully. When you get self-awareness and you know why you feel, it stops things in progress. When a bully feels lack and doesn't want to feel that shitty feeling of lack, they take it out on someone else. Well, let's figure out why there's lack. What do you feel, unworthy for? And when we can fix that or help them understand that, happy people don't go and bully other people. They just don't. You don't do that. You
Right.
know.
Well, I always say that it stems from the home, or, the majority of the time it does, and you learn, and there's something going on somewhere. You're
hmm
not born a bully, you're not born hateful. It's coming
No.
from somewhere. It's a learned behavior.
Yes.
And, unfortunately, if it's a learned, unfortunately, some people and adults, kids, they live with it, but the
Yes.
people they surround themselves with. But as an adult, you have a choice. As a kid, you don't always have a choice. Your
Unless you.
parents are who you are. They are
Yeah.
who you hang around with is who they are. I mean, like, you can't do anything much when you're a child, but you can when you get older.
Not just that, but when you have that teacher, when you find that speaker, when someone affects you in a school environment, do you not carry that with, like, the school sports? How many people have said, I got this coach in high school that made me want to go, and I made the team, and then
Oh, I've
I'm
had
doing,
that.
you know what I mean? So it's like, this is, yes, I agree 100%. It's at home. But these educators, when there's passion in these educators, they affect change. But
They
when you've
do.
got an educator who feels like their hands are tied because they just don't know what to do, that's when the frustration comes in, and that's where the uncertainty and insecurity that comes in when the teachers you
Because you
know
have to have a teacher that's either going to fight single-handedly or
yes,
without the support of the school, or
yes,
try to get the support of the school. Because if everybody's not working as a unit, or as a whole, you really are not getting anywhere.
right,
And that's
and
what people
school,
don't understand. You
right,
can't get anywhere. I mean, you can, but you really need the support of people coming together and doing it as
hmm
a unit. And
hmm
when that
yeah,
doesn't happen, it's so much harder.
yeah. Well, they've got to have, kids should be able to have spirit clubs for sports. They should have spirit clubs just for spirit club. Just to have a yay person, a yay group, because that's where things will start to change as well. There are no groups like that in schools.
Yeah,
There
no, I
aren't.
mean, I don't think, I mean, I'm going to be 36 years old. So when I went to school, I mean, things were very different.
Mm-hmm.
Back when I played sports and I was an athlete, we got called names, but they were still by our friends. They weren't necessarily bullying things. They were like by our friends, just teasing us. As girls back then, it was almost like unheard of to play sports. Like, I ran
Mm-hmm.
track, I played softball, and it was like you got called names like dyke, brute, because you were
Mm-hmm.
muscular, you were tall, you were big, you were
Yeah.
thick.
Yeah.
you were built like an athlete. You weren't petite. You weren't 5'2" and like,
No.
you wore a size 2. I
Mhm.
mean, it was just different. And, we're all different for a reason. And, like, even though, I mean, it never bothered any of us because we loved playing so much that we were like, whatever. And then
Yeah.
those were the same guys that teased us, were the same people that we were friends with later on in high school.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it
And
was like,
back
because
in
then
the
it became
day,
more prevalent for women to
yeah,
be playing sports. And it was like, cool, you're
it was.
awesome,
Yeah, back then it was not heard of, so you were doing something against the flow, but and back then boys picked on girls because they liked them. Now it's just another outlet to make them feel better about themselves. And that's where we need to cut it off. We need to know and understand and explain that that's not how you get happy. That's not how you fix things. That's not how you feel better about yourself by taking it out or picking on somebody else. It just doesn't work that way.
Right, and there's just so many people going along with groups. Like, I remember in my high school days, I do remember, and even in middle school, there were people that it was adjoining. Like, it wasn't like, okay, well, this is my friend, and she's having an issue with this other person, so let's all get together
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
go after this person.
Mhm.
And when you're popular, that's what it was. It was like going after, like, a group of people, like, went after this person
Mhm.
and did whatever they had to do to humiliate them, or
Mhm.
whatever it is that they did, whether it became physical or emotional or whatever it
Right.
was. It
Right.
affects you in so many different ways. But I remember that, and I used to stand there because I was friends with a lot of these people that we would see do these things, and it was like,
Mhm.
what am I supposed to do? Like, am I supposed to join them and just stand there, or
Yeah.
should I just walk away? But it's like, it's a very hard decision to make because you're afraid that the friends are gonna get mad at you. It doesn't matter
Thank
how
you.
popular you are.
Thank you.
Like, I
Yes.
was always a leader, but you still
Mhm.
have that feeling of loyalty to your
Yes.
friends. When they have a
Yeah.
problem, you should have their back.
Yeah. And
And
we
when
feel
you
that way
don't,
now.
it's an issue. And yeah, it's
Exactly.
still a thing. As
Exactly.
adults, it's an
Exactly.
issue.
Exactly. But you know what? What I also want to get out there is the fact that even though these kids may be faced with multiple people bullying them, understand that it's not them because of you. It's more them thinking, oh, I'm not going to go against the grain because if I go against her, then it's going to be me that's getting picked on. So I might as well just keep doing what they're doing so that I fly under the radar. And as shitty as that is, and as much as we could understand it, again, when these kids don't feel good about themselves, you can't dig deep and be brave and say, no, that's not okay. I'm not going to do that with you. I'm not going to do that. I won't make her feel better just so that you feel good. I won't do that.
Yeah.
You know,
That's true, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. And it's just, I mean, what takes place nowadays is so much more brutal. And I say this all the time, as I really don't know where we lost the humanity and how we are with kindness and compassion and understanding, and why parents, some of them, I'm not all of them, but the ones who are not. Why are you not teaching your kids? Why are you not? It's not, well, it's the teacher's
I'll tell
responsibility.
you
It's a
why.
school's
I'll tell you
responsibility.
why.
It's not their
No,
sole
no,
responsibility. You're
no.
their parent.
Exactly. And I'll tell you why that's an issue. I'll tell you why. Because when parents themselves have that insecurity and that unsure feeling of what am I supposed to do or I'm not good enough, when parents really sit back and think about themselves, it's deflected on your kids. We're not going to have that uncomfortable talk because I'm insecure about it. We're not going to talk about sex and boys because I'm insecure about it, and that's it, it's confrontational too. And I'll admit that because when it's happening and it's in the backyard, the first thing you think of is, I want to go over there and talk to these parents. But the last thing in my mind is, I don't want to have this conversation with this parent. And we've tried. There's been a mother and father who refuse to take the blinders off. Well, okay. Well, then I guess, I mean, I'm not going to beat my head up against the wall. If you don't want to, if your child's not that child, then what am I going to tell you? You know what I mean? So it's got to be about, again, parents being comfortable enough with themselves to be able to show that to their kids, because when they feel good and then the kids see how good they feel, it's a flow, it's a balance, and it just goes. When you've got that dad who's not happy with himself because, I can't get a job, I'm laid off, I can't support my family, I'm insecure because I'm not man enough, I don't support my family. he becomes abusive. It's not the child's fault. It's because the father feels inadequate. Well, you know what I mean? That's where everything gets twisted. And because we can't digest our feelings and because we can't work through them to say, why do I feel this way? And not accept the first answer. Well, why do I feel that way? Not accept that answer. It's usually about 3 or 4, maybe even the 5th why that you actually go, oh, and it had absolutely nothing to do with what you originally had the issue with.
Right, exactly.
That's the most annoying thing that I do to my children, but it's the truth. It's
No,
the truth.
it really is. And we're going to talk about this so much more. We're going to talk more about your daughter and her situation, and I want to know what you feel that needs to be done and that we could do that could create change in the schools that the schools are not doing, because I know
Mm-hmm.
many people feel that the schools are just not doing enough or anything, or they don't feel it's their responsibility. So
Mm-hmm.
we will get more into that of part 2 of this interview. But
Mm-hmm.
thank you for taking the time out today to discuss a little bit about your story and share it with everybody, and hopefully it gets out there and helps many people, and we're going to delve
I
into
hope
it
so
much
too.
more.
I appreciate it, Dee. Thank you.
No problem. We're going to delve into it much more. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed the first part of the interview with Jacqueline Hopper about her not being a so happy mom with her daughter getting bullied for years, and we will continue with the second part of the interview soon. Thank
Awesome.
you very much, and be kind and love big, guys.